Okay, let's talk about factoring here. Now, yesterday you were given a worksheet. Some of you finished it quickly, but you didn't ask any questions, and that's not too good. Let's take a look here. This one right here is a perfect, or a difference of two squares. This is going to be 3x squared. 3 times 3 is 9. And this is going to be 1 times 1. So I want to see this. This is called work, and I want to see that. So your answer is going to be 3x plus and 3x minus, and it's a 1. Okay? And again, the outer and the inner cancel out, leaving you with a binomial rather than a trinomial. Let's look at the next one. The next one here is 24 is not a perfect square, but you can take something out. Now, I don't know that I necessarily know what it is, so I'm going to start factoring. So watch what I do. I do 2 times 12, and then 2 times 6, and then 2 times 3. And if you look here, 2 and 2 makes 4. That's a perfect square. So 4 times 6 is 24. So I would bet you that 6 is what they have in common. Okay, so I'm going to take out a 6 on number 2. So when I take out a 6, what happens here is I get 6 and an x. I'm going to be left with 6 times 4 and then x squared, and then 6 times 9 is 54. And you see this is now the difference of two squares. And that's what we're shooting for. So this is 2x and 3. So it's going to be 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. But this is part of your answer. So there's your whole answer for that problem. Make sure you understand this, okay? And those of you who just didn't ask questions and just did some work just to turn in, I may not give you full credit because I was here and you could have asked some questions. This one right here is a perfect square. So it's going to be 6a squared squared. Power to a power, you multiply and get 4. This one right here is going to be 5b squared squared. So your answer is going to be 6a squared plus 5b squared times 6a squared minus 5b squared. And then you can try to factor this a little bit further. This is a perfect square, but 5 and 6 is not. So really, that's all you can do, and there's your answer. But you got to try. Let's talk about today's work. Copy this down. You have to memorize this chart right here. I gave this to you a long time ago. And I think it may still be on the board. No, it's not. Okay, so memorize it. This one right here is a negative and a positive. A negative and a positive is not the same thing as this one. Okay, see the negative is first. So it's going to end up with 2 negatives. So if you're going to have 2 negatives, you're going to add. So put an n here and an n here. And the question is, what times what is 9? That's going to add to give you the middle term, which is 10. Now again, some of you didn't learn how to factor. You just gave me stuff back and you really didn't learn how to do it. Well, you need to learn how to do it. So it's 1 times 9. And check your outer. That's a negative 9n. Check your inner. That's a negative 1n. And that gives you the middle term, which is a negative 10n. And that's how you do that. And I do want to see that you checked it, okay? So if I don't see these boxes, then you're not following directions. This one right here is a negative and a negative. That's this one, so you're going to be subtracting. So one's going to be a plus, and one's going to be a minus. So the question is, what times what is 90? That's going to subtract to give you a 1, because there's a 1 right here. Good question. I'm not sure. 9 times 10. So it's going to be A9, A10, because that gives you 10A and 9A, and when you subtract. Now, the middle term's a negative, so you want that with the bigger one, and that's going to give you a negative when you check it. Okay, so you get a negative 10A and a positive 9A, and that gives you a negative 1A. And if I don't see that, or the brackets, then you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Today, you have a worksheet. Now, if you finish early and you didn't ask me any questions, that's a big red flag. Okay. So the back side looks like this. And let's talk about geometry here. All right, when it says mental math, that means no calculator. Do it in your head. This one right here is a plus. So I got more minuses. There's my answer. A double negative is a plus, so that gives me 11. These signs are the same, so that gives me a negative 11. This is a negative times a positive, so negative. Now these are the same, and that gives me a negative 11. If you missed any of these, you need to ask for help. All right, let's talk about completing the square. Remember, when you complete the square, you get the number to the other side. So it changes to a negative. Okay, remember, when you cross that line, no matter what it is, the sign changes. Now you're going to put your x's together. So you're going to say x squared plus 20x, these two, and then some number. And then you're going to say plus y squared plus 20y, and then some number equals that. Okay, so remember the steps. You're going to take half of the middle term, and then you're going to square it. So half of 20 is 10, and 10 squared is 100. So you're going to put 100 here plus, and you're going to put 100 over here, both sides. Here you're going to do half of 20. We did it. 10, and then 10 squared is 100. So you're going to add 100 and 100, just like that. This becomes a perfect square trinomial. This right here is 200. I guess that's 36. You can check it on your calculator. Okay, and that's good because that's perfect. So this becomes, they're both pluses, so it's going to be x plus 10, 10 times 10. See that right there? 10 times 10 is 100. And this one's going to be y plus 10. So today I want you to get the center, and I want you to get the radius, and I want you to graph it. Center, radius, and graph it. So it's opposite, opposite, square root. So it's going to be a negative 10, a negative 10, and then the square root of 36 is 6. So the radius is 6. So you're going to go just like this. You're going to go over first. So negative 10, down 10. And I'm just going to guess. Then you're going to go up 6, over 6, down 6, this way 6, and there it is. Okay, notice I didn't do a bunch of tick marks because that's pretty big. All right, so today I want you to complete the square and find the center of the circle. Now take a look at this. This is a worksheet that I downloaded online. Here's how you do this. They want you to complete the square. So you're going to take half of 10 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. So you're going to add 25 here, and that's going to give you a perfect square. So it's going to be x plus 5 quantity squared. Remember, x plus 5 squared means you got to write it twice. 2 of those. Just like that. And the way they did it here, they want an x here and a positive 5 here, an x here and a positive 5 here. So x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. 5 times x is 5x. And 5 times 5 is 25. And that is completing the square, and that's how you're going to do it. Okay, just like that. This one right here, you got to get the 61 to the other side. So that's going to become a positive 61, and then you have to do half of 14 and work it out. So it's going to be x squared plus 14x, and then plus some number. So half of 14 is 7, and then 7 squared is 49. So you're going to add 49 to both sides, and when you do, this gives you, I don't know what that gives you, let me think here a minute. 49, and that's 50. It looks like 110. Okay, so that's not going to be perfect. But this right here is going to be x plus 7 quantity squared. This, I think, is 110. So you're going to do the square root of 110 on that. So I'm not sure how you would write that one. We're going to put a question mark for now, and when we get to it, we'll work it. But this down here is what we were doing yesterday. These are circles. Remember, you get your x's together, you get your y's together, you get your numbers over here, you take half of the middle term, add it to both sides after you square it, same thing here. I want the center of the circle, I want the radius, and I want a little small graph. Okay? So if you get hung up on the top, skip it for now and just get started on this bottom stuff, because that top part is kind of new and we still have to take a look at that other one. That's it. That's what we're doing today. So have a good morning, and I'll see you in class.